Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining me tonight. My name is Stephanie Milner, and I'm a director on the Executive MBA admissions team. And I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Executive MBA program in Washington, D.C. Just for a little bit of an overview, I'm going to be talking tonight about all about the program, what you can expect as a student. I'm going to be walking through the application process in detail, and a lot of all the ins and outs of being a student in the Washington, D.C. program. You can feel free to add questions in the Q&A, and I'll get to them when I'm done making my presentation, or I'll just open it up and you can add your questions at the end, whatever's best for you. Just a little bit about me. I've been at Stern a little over 10 years now. In addition to admissions, I do marketing for the program as well, along with other members of the team. And I'm really excited to tell you all about our program in DC tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and start the screen share. And just for the record, this is being recorded. Thanks. Great. Hopefully everyone can see this. There we go. So just by way of context, we launched the Executive MBA program in Washington, D.C. in 2018. We have a centrally located NYU DC academic center, and therefore we had the opportunity to translate our flagship Executive MBA program to meet the demand for the program in locations beyond New York City. We already had an extensive alumni group in place in DC. We obviously have brand recognition in places beyond New York, so the time was right for us to launch a program outside of New York City. So the DC program offers a convenient once-a-month format, so that appeals to both local students in the DMV area and also travelers, because the schedule is one weekend per month, a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The program has evolved since our launch based on feedback from students, the staff, and our faculty. We've integrated new courses into the curriculum. We've increased the number of electives and specialization options over time. I'll talk about both of those things. For example, we recently launched a global immersion experience elective, which allows our students to travel a second time after the required trip in the first year, in the second year if they'd like to. The program is unique in that you have a close-knit cohort experience on class weekends with about 40 students in a cohort. So the program really allows you to build deep relationships with your peers as well as faculty who teach in person in DC. And again, I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And you still have access to the broader NYU Stern and Executive MBA network. So it's an intimate experience with a broader reach. In 2023, we celebrated the 5th anniversary of the DC program. And as we continue to bring in new cohorts, we're excited to see our community grow. So just as an overview, the Executive MBA program allows experienced professional students to pursue an MBA while they work full-time in a cohort-based format. The program starts in August each year and takes around 2 years to complete, approximately the same amount of time as pursuing an MBA full-time. Classes follow a structured modular format, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday classes once per month. There's also 3 required one-week residencies in the program. The Executive MBA program kicks off in the first year with a 1-week domestic residency. It's held in the suburbs of New York City, and it overlaps with the orientation for our New York students in August. So it allows you to start, expanding your network from day one. The orientation itself really allows people to really get to know their cohort. It's a full orientation. Your classes start there. So it's a real jumping off point to get everyone on the same page. So you've already hit the ground running by the time the regular class schedule of one Friday, Saturday, Sunday per month kicks in. The second year residency takes place in DC, but again, it's a kickoff to the second year process and get everyone sort of, all set for their electives. And then required in year 1 is a global immersion experience. It's part of the core curriculum. I will talk about it in more detail, but it's an international experience where the whole cohort travels together to an international destination. And like I said earlier, there's an option in year 2 to add another one if you would like, but that is not required. When students complete the Executive MBA program, they earn an MBA in General Management from Stern. It's the same degree that students earn in the full-time and part-time programs. There's no version of an MBA offered at Stern. It's all the same degree. So now that you understand a little bit about the format of the program, we can get into some more detail. We know that our students have busy professional and personal lives, so the MBA program offers an immersive on-campus experience once a month that's more manageable for busy executives. It's, like I said, it's an intimate setting, and all your core courses will be with your 40 student cohort, as well as interacting with our faculty. So you're learning from your peers, but you're also learning from the faculty in a not a one-on-one situation, but in a very intimate format when you're in the classroom. The NYU Stern faculty travel down to DC to teach in the MBA program. So this ensures the same rigorous academics as are offered on the New York Washington Square campus. However, given the smaller cohort size, it's a little bit smaller in DC, you really do have access to the faculty. They're there for the full class weekends. They have, lunch with students. So it's a great way to expand your relationships beyond the classroom with the faculty as well. And also the once a month format really gives our students greater flexibility in completing coursework in between class weekends. Students report spending an average of 10 to 20 hours per week on assignments, projects, readings, and study outside of class weekends and being prepared for the next class weekend. I think that's an average. It ebbs and flows a little bit depending on which classes you're enrolled in at the time. But essentially, the once a month format gives you a full month between class weekends to complete deliverables. And so you can really manage your time effectively in between class weekends. Finally, the monthly class weekend format really allows us to have broader geographical reach. So you can build a broader network. We have the majority of our students, maybe 65%, are from the DC area, but about 35% are from across the country. So that means that they travel more than 40 miles from campus. For people who are out of town for more than 40 miles from NYU DC, we do provide complimentary accommodations for people to come in. And if you're more than 80 miles from campus, you'd get accommodations for the full class weekend. Come in on Thursday, be there for class on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And if you're within 40 to 80 miles, you get accommodations on Friday and Saturday night. But it's also centrally located. So if you're in DC, we're near the train lines. We're not far from the airport and the train station. So whatever works for you to get to campus, we're never far away. So what does a typical class weekend look like? This could be any day of a class weekend. We recognize your schedule is already packed. So in a way to make this work for working professionals, we offer 2 classes at a time. The blue bars will be one class in the morning and a different class in the afternoon. So you're only focusing on 2 classes at a time. You're learning subjects intensively, mastering them, and then rolling into other classes as the semester and months progress. So the way a typical day might work, there's breakfast. That's definitely optional if you want to get there a little bit early, but it's a great way to start your day on campus. The blue bars, like I said, are 2 class sessions with a break in between. Each one is about an hour and a half. So that's about 3 hours total of one class. And then there's lunch, which is a time when all the students come together with the faculty. It's a great way to obviously recharge, maybe meet with your study group, just make connections. And then in the afternoon, you have another class, 2 90-minute blocks with a break in between. And then occasionally there's an event in the evening. That wouldn't be every night, and certainly wouldn't be on a Sunday when class is over, when the class weekend ends, but sometimes there's speakers, there's social events, networking opportunities. So it depends on the class weekend. It depends what's been organized. Class days do run from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it is expected that students, especially on Fridays, which is a typical work day, you would be excused from work responsibilities on that day. So taking a closer look at our curriculum, like I said, it's 2 classes at a time. And in year 1, you're taking all core curriculum. I'd like to say that academic excellence really is the cornerstone of what NYU Stern and the Executive MBA program offers. The core curriculum is designed to give you a strong foundation. And then in the second year, it gives you the opportunity to explore your own passions and interests. So you can see from the core curriculum, these are course areas. They're not necessarily course titles. All the courses are available on our website if you'd like to take a closer look. but they do cover all the key areas of business administration, including management, marketing, accounting, strategy, to really create that strong foundation and round out your skills. And you take all those courses with your full cohort. In the second year, you add in electives. It's the total opposite of the first year. You totally set your own course. It's an opportunity to build on the foundation of the core courses in the curriculum and go deeper into advanced topics in areas that might interest you. You can also just go broad and explore different areas of disciplines that interest you, or you can delve a little deeper. In the second year, you're also taking classes with other second-year executive MBA DC students. So you're expanding your classroom experience as well. And the electives range in size. Some might be large with 30 or 40 students, and some might be smaller, just seminar sized with 10 or 12 students. So it does really mix up the experience a bit. Also, through the electives, you can declare up to 3 different specializations. To declare a specialization, you need to earn 9 credits in that discipline. It builds off what you've already learned in the core, and then you add in electives to meet that specialization. And again, our specializations are in key subject areas, so they can be applied to lots of different functions and industries as opposed to being specialized towards certain industries. You can decide how you want to pursue specializations, if at all. You don't have to do any. You could do up to 3. So you can also declare one after the fact. It's not quite like a major where you have to, pick it up front and take the classes to meet it. You can start exploring your interests and maybe realize at the end you've achieved a specialization, or you could decide up front that you want to achieve a specialization and choose your electives accordingly. It's totally up to you. So you can decide how to tailor your MBA to your career goals and your personal needs. At the end of the program, as mentioned, all students achieve an MBA in general management from NYU Stern. So jumping in a little bit more about the global immersion experiences, it's really an opportunity to gain exposure to other global business hubs. The global immersion experience is an international residency. The whole class travels together to an international destination. It provides exposure to global business centers and really are designed to provide engagement in the world of business beyond the classroom and broaden your perspective. Students explore the business culture of dynamic markets. You have meetings, tours, information sessions with executives and leadership from all different kinds of companies and organizations. You're accompanied by NYU Stern faculty. So they're there to create context for all what you've learned on campus and now are putting into practice on the ground in a different international destination. These courses are actually 4 credits, so there's also work assigned by the faculty pre and post the trip to get you ready and to also demonstrate what you've learned. Like I said, in the second year, there's also an option. You can diversify your international exposure with the optional global immersion in year 2. If you're unwilling or unable to travel in year 2, we guarantee you'll have a great experience in year 1. But for people who want to go to a different destination than year 1 and get another opportunity to learn on the ground, you can do a global immersion experience again as an elective. Just as a technical note, global immersion experiences, the majority of expenses are included in tuition. There's a few out-of-pocket expenses, the largest one, which is airfare. We used to try to be in the business of group airfare, but it's definitely better for everyone to make their own travel dates and, travel as needed. And also some dinners and some incidentals on the ground when we don't have other things planned. But the majority, including accommodations, transfers during the day, meals during events, and things like that, are included in the tuition for the program. There's a complete list of what's included and what's not included on our website if you'd like to take a look. So just a little bit more about the additional residency and weekend experiences beyond our regular Friday, Saturday, Sunday schedule. As mentioned, the year 1 and year 2 residencies take place, one in the New York area, one in the DC area. During the day, you'll have classes and orientation with networking events at night. And the accommodations are included for all students during the residencies, regardless of where you live. And then also once in year 1 and once in year 2, you'll spend a class weekend in New York City. You'll experience your classes at our flagship Washington Square campus. You expand your network through joint events with the MBA, NYC students, we do a special panel event from the working professionals team at Stern Careers to give you a little more insight into what the experience looks like from people who have already graduated the program So it's a great opportunity to really expand your network footprint and get a little taste of what it's like to be on the New York campus. I mentioned our faculty a little bit, but NYU Stern is really renowned for our faculty, and it's really them who bring our curriculum to life. Stern has one of the largest and best faculties in the world, leading experts in their field who consult to top companies and international organizations and have launched businesses in addition to doing research and teaching full-time at Stern. They really try to teach specific skills, but also a broader perspective of the role of business, so they're emphasizing the practical impact, but also the big picture. The faculty who teach in MBA DC are drawn from the same faculty that teach in the New York City program. All our faculty who teach in Executive MBA are selected and invited to teach in the Executive MBA program based on their experience teaching at the executive level. We want to make sure they're prepared for the level of discourse and experience among our students in the classroom. So we make sure that the faculty who are teaching, while they do teach full-time and they do teach part-time, they're also, very much prepared to teach in the Executive MBA classroom. Again, on our website, there's a full list of the faculty who are currently teaching in DC if you'd like to take a closer look at their backgrounds or teaching experience. And as mentioned, I sort of alluded to it a little while ago, but our faculty use a lot of different pedagogical approaches to teach in the classroom. They use a mix of case studies, group discussions, experiential learning, projects, problem sets. So it depends on the class, it depends on the faculty. Every class is going to be a little bit different. Each one decides what's best given the class size, what's given their content. So again, it keeps it interesting. So every time you start a new class, you're really getting a new experience with a new member of the faculty. So it keeps it interesting and it really gives you a well-rounded perspective on business education and learning in different ways. We also try and make sure that it's really tangible learning so that I can't promise that everything you learn on a class weekend would be applicable on Monday, but it should be relevant and it should be tangible if you want to start putting it into practice right away, that it won't be so big picture that you won't be able to employ it on your job as needed. So this is a quick look of our typical class profile. I spoke a little bit already about how close-knit the cohort can be. This is an example of what our class might look like. These are averages of our last few DC cohorts, so every cohort might be a little bit different. You'll really get to know your cohort as well as the other students in the program as mentioned, because it's small, but it's also very diverse. The average age in the program is 36. We have a minimum of 6 years of work experience as a prerequisite for the program, so that bumps up our average years of experience in the program to around 12. 25% of our students have an international background, meaning that they were educated outside the US and have worked outside the US. About 31%, almost a third, have a previously earned advanced degree. We have JDs, we have MDs, and different Masters of Arts and Sciences. So people have really developed expertise in their field through an advanced degree. And then in terms of the gender split in the class, we're about 35% female. We're really proud of that number. It's higher than the industry average. We're always trying to get it higher, but we're really happy for the representation that we do have. You can see some of the typical industries. There's a lot of different functions and actual jobs within each of these, each of these industries represented on screen. About 24% of our students come from government, military, nonprofit, and education, which are probably the core industries within Washington, D.C., but about 75% of our students come from outside of that realm. So while you're still getting some core contacts within those key industries from DC, you're also getting exposure to a lot of different industries and a lot of different functions. As part of the program, all students are placed into study groups in year one. They're employed differently throughout all the classes, but we take the class profile as you see it here and all these different levels of experience to put the groups together to make them as cross-functional as possible so that you can really mimic the way people work at work. Class weekends are all held in Washington, D.C. And again, as mentioned, it's an immersive experience. We really want you to succeed once you're here. It's a really collaborative community. So there's different elements of the community that support you while you're in the program, but then there's ways that we can support you throughout your entire career moving forward. The first thing we have is an exclusive student services team for executive MBA students. They are on campus when our students are on campus. They make sure you have your books. They provide breakfast and lunch on class days, as well as snacks during break. No one goes hungry at Stern ever. So they're on the ground to help you answer any questions, to help you register for your classes. So they really take a lot of the busy work out of being a student, and therefore that really gives you the opportunity to just focus on the classes and your classmates while you're on campus. There's also ways to align yourself for more networking. We offer executive MBA student interest groups. We refer to them as SIGs. They're sort of grassroots organizations that our students have put together. Some are based on personal affinity groups like the Latinx and Latina group. Some are based on industry like a healthcare group. There's always more coming, and it's a way to effectively reach across your industry or your personal interests, both through DC and New York. They're open to all executive MBA students. So it's a great way to align yourself with like-minded individuals in the program. And then, of course, there's our expansive alumni network. We have over 110,000 Stern alumni across more than 130 countries, across all of NYU, beyond Stern, including all of NYU schools. There's over half a million NYU alumni. We have an online database. They're very accessible. There's events in all different cities all over the world. So it's a great way to continue your connection to Stern and the network. We also offer a number of lifelong learning benefits. You are eligible for 2 tuition-free in-person executive certificate and executive education programs per year as a graduate, basically for a lifetime. So you can continue adding to your education through what NYU Stern has to offer. So in addition to what's in the classroom, we wanted to make sure people understand what's available to them in terms of career services. It's obviously a valuable investment in terms of your professional growth. Just to support your journey, we provide access to the working professionals team at the Stern Careers Office. They specialize in the needs for more experienced working professionals. So that means they serve our executive MBA students, our graduates, and some of our NYU Stern part-time students as well. They're really dedicating to help you figure out and execute your long-term career plan. The core of what they offer is one-on-one career coaching. That could be in person, it could be via Zoom, it could be via phone. They are on site in DC 2 or 3 times per academic year to meet in person, but even students who are based in New York or closer to our Washington Square campus certainly take advantage of virtual meetings as well. Really, their goal is to help you map out your career and how to execute it, as I said. So they do career mapping, resume reviews, mock interviews. They have an expansive online database of career tools, of company research, self-assessment tools. So lots of different ways for you to take advantage of their services to position yourself for success moving forward. They also, sorry, I lost my place on my notes. I apologize. These services they provide these services starting from day 1 of the program as soon as students matriculate into the program, and then essentially offer these services forever as a graduate of Stern. So it's definitely part of the long-term investment of attending the NYU Stern Executive MBA program. Even if their services aren't something you require extensively while you're matriculating as a student for 2 years, you can always come back and take advantage of their services as your career evolves beyond your graduation. But we also integrate some coursework into the program that focuses on leadership and management to make you the most effective leader in your career possible. We have core classes like leadership in organizations and leading through change, which is a diversity and inclusion focused class to really help you develop your leadership style and understand the fundamentals of organizational design, because as you know, leaders in corporations need to have that skill set. And we feel at Stern it's very important to learn those sorts of skills as well as technical skills. So taking a quick look at the tuition for the 23-24 academic year, the tuition for the 24-25 academic year hasn't been officially set yet. We will send out an email when it's official and post it on our website. So the current tuition is $185,000. That's a comprehensive number for the full 2 years of the program. It includes books, all materials, the global immersion experience, with the exceptions that I noted, the residency accommodations, both in year 1 and year 2, meals on class days, any fees associated with the program, all the online resources, and of course the services from our dedicated executive MBA student support team. We do anticipate an increase between 3 and 7%, so we do ask people to budget for that. And again, we will announce the number as soon as it is available to us, both via email and on our website. But there's a couple of different ways that we help people with their journey. One is with our dedicated Stern graduate financial aid team. They're committed to helping you finance your MBA. Most students fund some of their education through loans. If you're a US citizen or a permanent resident, we recommend you start the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. If you had taken out loans for your undergrad, it's the exact same process. You complete the form, you submit some tax returns, and they will let you know what you're eligible for. You can't officially draw down a loan until you're registered with a program, but our graduate financial aid office can certainly help with that as well. They have a lot of different options on their website about other kinds of loans that might be available to you, really a lot of specifics about the process of getting loans from the federal government and how to execute on them. But they're also available via phone and their website. The URL is right there on the screen. So they have a lot of great information for you if that's something that you need. Veterans, if there's anyone who has current or previous military experience, we have access to generous veterans benefits. The majority of program fees are covered for eligible veterans. It obviously varies by each individual and what you're eligible for, but you can reach out to financial aid for more information on eligibility for sure. We do also offer scholarships. We offer merit-based scholarships. Unfortunately, full tuition scholarships are not available, so they're all partial. To be eligible for consideration, you have to complete the optional scholarship. You just have to check off a box that you'd like to be considered for scholarships. And then we take a close look at your application. All aspects of your formal application will be considered as a demonstration of merit, including the interview, which is something I'll talk about in a little while through the application process. The awards are one time and they are partial. As I mentioned, they get applied to your tuition in year 1. They range in amount from starting at $5,000 upwards of like $10,000 to $15,000 or $20,000. We try to give people as much as possible, and you'll automatically be offered the highest monetary award for which you are eligible. There's really no specific set of criteria that guarantees an award. We do, like I said, take a close look at each application pretty holistically. We have a couple of different categories of scholarships. Everyone's only eligible for one, but you can see them more specifically on our website if you're interested in understanding more about them. If you requested a scholarship and you're offered one, it will absolutely be shared with you in an offer of admission if you're accepted to the program, so that you can consider joining the program, understanding what the financial commitment would be. And as mentioned, another way we support students, in addition to everything that's included in tuition, I've mentioned earlier about accommodations. We partner with a local hotel near campus. And if you're a minimum of 40 miles away, depending how far away you are beyond the 40 miles, you'd be eligible for either 2 or 3 nights accommodation at our hotel free of charge. And like I said, at the residencies, accommodations are included as well. So to take the next steps, hopefully you're interested in understanding how to apply to the program. So I want to provide some detail around that. The first step, which some of you may have already taken, is to complete the pre-assessment. And it's free. You submit it on our website. On that, you indicate that you meet our prerequisites. We have 2 prerequisites for the program. The first one is that you've completed a bachelor's degree or its equivalent from any accredited US or international university. And the second one is that you have a minimum of 6 years full-time work experience at the time you're applying to the program. We know sometimes people have sort of atypical paths in their career in terms of balancing school and work. So if you have any questions about your eligibility, you can certainly submit the pre-assessment and we'll get back to you if we have questions, or you can always call our office and ask if that's something that you're interested in. You also provide your profile details, a little bit about you, where you work, where you went to school. You upload your most current resume. It takes about 15 minutes and it's free, which is great. And once we receive your pre-assessment, we'll get back to you in about between 3 and 5 business days. We always try to keep it to around 3 and reach out to you about the next step in the process, which is the formal application. As mentioned, our formal application process is pretty holistic. We take a look at each application individually on its own merits. We really do want to try and get to know you and understand you, how you would fit in as a member of the executive MBA community. There's people with lots of different backgrounds in terms of what they studied in undergrad, what they do now, what industry they come from, who think, oh, I would never fit in this program. But I promise we probably had someone like you or not dissimilar to you in the program and they completed it successfully. So I think there's a lot of room for different kinds of people in this program, which is great. And, you know, our application process lets us evaluate everyone on their own merits. So there's a couple of different components to the formal application. I'll explain all of them. The first one is essays. There are 2 required essays. We dictate the topics for those. There's a third optional, anything else you want us to know essay. It's definitely optional, but if there's anything personally or professionally or academically you think needs some more context or maybe isn't so obvious, you know, doesn't to make sense of in other areas of the application, that's a great place to explain it. But the first 2 are required and they're about 500 words each. We do require transcripts from any university at which you completed a degree. We don't need proof of any professional certifications you might hold, just degree-based transcripts are required. For the purposes of evaluating an application, you can upload copies of them, but for anyone who is enrolled in the program or chooses to enroll in the program, we do need official transcripts on file, so we do suggest people request them from the universities early on. For international students who maybe have mark sheets or it might be difficult to get official transcripts, we have some policies around that. You can reach out to our office or ask during the interview if that applies to you. We also require 2 letters of recommendation. Both are professional, one ideally from your current supervisor and the other one ideally from a previous supervisor. We know that your mom or your best friend or, you know, your sister thinks that you're great, but these are really professional recommendations. We want to try and understand, you know, you in the context of your work and how people interact with you at work. So that's why we ask for those recommendations. It's a pretty brief questionnaire. It's not so taxing on the recommenders. You submit their email address. The system will send them an email with a link that connects them to complete the form. It shouldn't take them more than 15 minutes. We can also take an additional letter if they'd like to expand a little bit more, but if it's just the form, that's totally fine with us. And I alluded to the interview a little bit earlier, but we do require an interview with a member of the admissions committee for everyone who formally applies to the program. The interview could be with me or one of my colleagues on the admissions team. The interview lasts about 30 minutes. We ask that you approach it like an official job interview. You'll be asked about your work experience, why you're interested in the program, a little bit more trying to get to know you. It's also a great opportunity for you to ask questions about Stern or the program and understand if it's the right fit for you. So it's definitely a give and take, but the majority of the interview is really about us sort of, you know, evaluating you as a member of the executive MBA community. You can schedule the interview at any point in the process once you've submitted a pre-assessment. Some people like to do it at the beginning to inform their formal application. Some people do it at the very end as the last step when they're sort of, you know, well-versed in their application already and want to reinforce certain points. We're very flexible in that way. So you can sign up at any point in the process that works for you. There's also 2 optional parts of our application. One is a sponsorship form. There's 2 kinds of sponsorship in our program. One is time sponsorship. We just ask you to indicate in the formal application via checkbox that you are eligible to attend classes on the regular schedule and the orientation periods. We publish the calendar. It's on our website, so you know those dates coming up, and just to make sure you'll be released from work responsibilities to attend the program on those dates. The other part of sponsorship is financial sponsorship, which is totally optional. It's great if you can get it, but it's totally optional. And that is when your employer contributes to your pursuit of an MBA. For some people, that's a full sponsorship where they cover all the expenses of tuition. For some people, it's a smaller amount. It's totally up to whatever the policy is of your company and what you can organize with them. We don't need the sponsorship form to indicate that, but if it's a useful tool for you to bring to your employer and have something in writing and understand what everyone's agreeing to, both in terms of time and financial support, you're more than welcome to print it out and get the signature from your employer. The other thing that's optional are standardized test scores. We do not require a GMAT, a GRE, or an executive assessment score. If you have taken the test or plan to take the test for other applications you might be completing for other programs, and you're happy with your score, we are more than happy to accept it as further demonstration of your academic preparedness for the program. But if that's not available, we take a really close look at your transcripts and work experience. Again, fully optional. It's not required for us. But again, if you feel like that's something that would, help your case, we're happy to consider it as part of it. The final piece of a formal application is the application fee. It's $175, but a little spoiler alert, as a thank you for attending here this evening, we'll be sending you an application fee waiver. Unfortunately, it's not exchangeable for cash, but if you submit the coupon code or the promotion code, I should say, while you're filling out the formal application, you won't be asked to submit the $175 fee, so you can just apply to the program for free. Once you've submitted, I also wanted to point out that another way to sort of get to know us through the process is once you've submitted your pre-assessment, you can actually schedule a class visit if you'd like. The dates are available on our website. You could come on a morning or afternoon that suits you. You meet with student ambassadors who will sort of introduce themselves, answer their questions, and take you to class for part of a morning or part of an afternoon. It's a great way to sort of try the program on for size. So you're eligible to do that once your pre-assessment has been approved. And you could, again, do that through any point in the process, the same way you can schedule an interview. So whatever works for you in terms of timing, you're welcome to do that and just see if it feels good for you to be on campus at NYU DC. So in terms of timing for the DC program, every cohort we have starts in August. The first deadline was March 1st, but the final deadline is May 15th. But the great thing is that we have rolling admissions, so we do not wait until deadline dates to review applications. We review them on a rolling basis throughout the application cycle. So once we have all the required elements of a formal application that I just explained to you, you'll get an email confirming your application is complete. That email starts the clock ticking on the review period, and the admissions committee will provide you with a response to your application within about 3 weeks of the date of that email. It's usually, sometimes it's between 3 and 4, but we shoot for 3 weeks as often as possible. So again, and that's regardless of deadline dates. So just in terms of timing, you could think about what might work for you. If your application isn't complete by May 15th, we can still accept, if your recommendations are outstanding or you're still waiting on transcripts, we'll allow people to complete those aspects of their application beyond May 15th. But we do suggest you submit what you have and you can add to the application piecemeal. It doesn't all have to be uploaded all at once into our system. We have some additional events coming up, which are a great way to get some information about both our program and Stern in general. We have a quick program overview, but primarily a financial aid webinar with a member of our financial aid team coming up on the 27th of March. And then we also have a Q&A with esteemed MBA professor Bruce Buchanan. He teaches both in New York and in DC. He's going to be doing a Q&A with a member of our team. It's a great way to get some insight into, what it's like to be in a classroom with our faculty and how they approach it. So that's going to be a great conversation for sure. So I'm going to be getting to some questions in a minute, but if you'd like to submit a free pre-assessment, feel free to scan the QR code. It'll take you straight to the link on our website. It's also very easy to navigate on our website at any other time. This is how to contact us on the right-hand side of your screen. You can email us, you can call us, obviously visit our website for the most up-to-date and comprehensive information. If you don't already, follow us on social. We're always posting about events and interesting things that are going on in the executive MBA community, as well as our alumni community. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, And you can also follow us on LinkedIn. So we have a couple of questions. There's a question about the accommodations. So I did mention that a little bit. This might have been from earlier. I'm happy to reiterate. It is a hotel. It's not owned or operated by NYU, but it's within walking distance of the NYU DC campus. And all students get their own room. Nobody shares. And about, I don't know, 30 to 40% of our students, depending, stay at the accommodation. So that's a nice little community as well. So in addition to being on campus, there's people to walk back and forth with, that kind of thing. So it's a nice community. There's also one more question just about electives and how you choose them. So as mentioned, the electives are in year 2. At the end of year 1, the student services team will start to give you the information you need on how to sort of put together your approach to electives. As mentioned, you could do them really broadly. You could identify the specializations you want to complete and then choose the electives accordingly. There's a subset of electives available throughout year 2 so that there's critical mass. So if you want to take one thing now, student services can you advise what to do now so you have room to take something else later, so they know what's coming. So there's a lot of help and context around it. And then, as mentioned, student services does the registration for you. So there's no standing in line or waiting to log into a system. They'll take care of that for you. And as mentioned, as well as providing books. Sometimes they mail them to you. Sometimes you'll pick them up on campus on class days so that you have them for your next starting classes so you can do the required reading. So that depends. Great. I don't think there's any other questions. We're almost up at time, so I don't want to keep everybody too long. I'm going to leave this up on the screen a little bit more in case that you want to, submit your free assessment and raise your hand and get to know us. If you have any other questions, you can absolutely feel free to reach out to our office. We're more than happy to help. We hope to see you at other upcoming events. And thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a good night.